Reflection is something we don't really enjoy as GPs, but we do quite a lot of. And it's something I was doing on my drive in to the Nest from Chorlton all the way through to this side of Wythenshawe. And I was reflecting on the journey that many of you have taken. And it's different for every single one of you. Some of you are international medical graduates. Put your hands up. Round of applause. Honestly, it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication into the unknown across to a different side of the world. Many of you have done the UCAS application as aspiring medics once upon a time. I was meant to bring a prop with me. He was an aspiring medic. He's probably going to join us shortly. And it makes you think about the personal statement that you once did, the interview you once did to apply for medical school, writing that line about helping people in the big wide world, the privilege of helping patients in their most vulnerable moment. And then you've got through medical school, 5 years, sometimes 6, sometimes longer, sometimes in Europe. You might be in a city that we've not heard of. And now here you are on this side of the fence. You've done your specialty training. Some of you are in the thick of it, still got AKTs to sit, SCAs, and if it might change again, it might be an RCA or something else. You don't know, the letters change every few years. And now many of you are here ready to CCT. Put your hands up if you're SD3s. Brilliant. Ready to flee the nest, quite literally. And life after CCT is quite a deep title when you think about the opportunity ahead. Because when Will asked me to talk about life after CCT, I got quite contemplatory and quite reflective. And he wanted me to talk about my life in prison, not as a prisoner, but as a prison doctor. And I thought that's quite restricted. That's quite confined to one path. And I'm really going to break away from that. I don't want to shackle you or imprison you with one-dimensional thinking. And I want you to think far beyond just general practice. Because there's more to life than general practice. Yes, I'm a GP. I work in a happy place in Wimslow on a Friday. I love treating my patients. I love icing my way through the consultations and bringing benefit to as many people as possible, even if it is through a sick note, right? Round of applause for all the sick note providers in the room. Keeping the economy going. But I've also worked in places I never expected medicine to take me. And the map I was handed looked a bit like this. Almost like a ladder. Okay, and I've put it horizontally. Come on through, here he is, the aspiring medic of the room. Round of applause. Okay, he's a reminder of where you once were. Come on, Abdurrahman, grab a seat. Thank you. So the map I was once handed was to get into medical school, was then to go into foundation training, specialty training, and conventional general practice. Yeah, this is the ladder that we're all used to. It's meant to go upwards, but I went from Manchester to Birmingham, to Oldham, to Hull, to Oldham, and then to prison, right? So just got better and better. No disrespect to anyone from any of those places. They've all been wonderful destinations along the journey. It's a good map, but it's not the whole map, and many of us are not shown the whole map. We just stick to the conveyor belt. We continue going. And I think general practice is a great default on that conveyor belt. Like my phrase at medical school was, if you don't select a specialty, you're going to end up being a GP. And Will know, as a fellow Birmingham graduate, I think 80% of Kate Thomas's students all ended up becoming GPs. So yeah, it is the conveyor belt and it is the system. But I think now is a good time. ST1, ST2, ST3, wherever you may be in your journeys, just to reflect and think, where do you really want to be after CCT? Because there's so much more than what specialty am I going into. It should more be around what kind of clinician and what kind of life do I want to lead. Because today isn't about the schedule that you're going to be working, the rota that you're going to be adopting after CCT. It's more about the life that you want to live. The parent you want to be, the spouse you want to be, the person you want to be, the individual that you want to be in that greater contribution to society. Acting locally, but thinking globally with regards to your impact. But there's an elephant in the room. And that elephant is that general practice is a career, is a specialty that is collapsing. I get calls from my uncles and aunties saying I can't get an appointment if I miss the 8 o'clock in the morning deadline. And even if I do, I'm 40 minutes on the waiting list and then I don't get an appointment. And yet you here are sat at home and you don't have a job. What is going on? Right? So there's an unemployment crisis, there's the public pressure of not getting an appointment. And then those that do get a job, many of you in the room today, are either swamped with a lot of admin work, swamped with a lot of work, but hopefully thanks to Oscar, where's Oscar? Put your hands up, cheeky plug. Hopefully his AI scribe will help you through that admin stress very soon. And Cam and Oscar and the team will be ready to take on Heidi and the greater world, won't you? But yeah, so Admin pressures, workload, moaning minis, as Wes Treating once called us. And it leads to something that I've noticed amongst GPs. I've set the tone quite negatively there, isn't it? Everyone's gone like quite somber. I'm going to make it more positive. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. So what I've seen when I've mentored clinicians, GPs, general practice trainees is that there's two doors that they often see. The first door is to stay in medicine, to grind it out, to develop a receding hairline like mine, as my wife regularly reminds me, or to let go of everything we've trained for and just to leave medicine. All that effort, the GMC registration, the graduation pictures, the 20% Nando's discount, let go of it all. But there's actually a third door. And that third door that I want to present to you all today is a portfolio career. A portfolio career is often misunderstood. It's not 5 different things on a Tuesday. It's not 5 different roles that don't really match up together. It's a better shape for a career that I want to present to you. It's not a ladder, but it's a recognition that perhaps I do have more options than I realized. And that's what I want each and every single one of you to leave with today. If there's one line, that yes, there are more options than you realize. And you probably gathered that from when you look at the program and you see the incredible starting 11 of today's talk, starting at 10 o'clock onwards, in terms of speakers, as to how much they are doing outside of medicine and all the different strings to their bow that they have. Because they didn't develop a ladder, because a ladder goes up. More qualifications, more certificates, more letters after your name. They actually became ecosystem developers. And this is the shape that I want you all to adopt. It's a better shape for a career, because often we're taught that a medical career is a ladder. You get to that senior rung, there's more responsibility. But I want you to think of your clinical anchor in the middle. And that's all the stuff you love to do, the patients you love to see, and everything related to your clinical role as a general practitioner. But then there's also the broader set of roles around it, and we'll come on to those in a moment. Someone that develops an ecosystem is what I call an expanded clinician. Now, an expanded clinician is not someone that needs to be on GLP-1 analogues, okay? And tough crowd, aren't they? An expanded clinician is someone that is clinically grounded, but applied more widely, still a doctor, okay? Someone that maybe takes on a few different areas in addition to their clinical anchor. Education, leadership, innovation, specialist environments, public impact, enterprise, and the list goes on. This is a hexagon, as my daughter will remind me, but it could be an octagon, it could be a decagon, it could be as many different shapes and sizes as you want it to be, but it starts with your clinical anchor and it grows outwards rather than going in one dimension. Your clinical role is the anchor, the platform, the springboard of opportunity. It's the electric door that opens into the world of possibility. And it's a chance for you to really utilize your skills, the qualities you have stifled, I must say. Many of you have stifled many different qualities and strengths. And we restrict our thinking to thinking we can't achieve something bigger. But it's the medics, it's the doctors that I have seen in the last 4 years since CCT that are the movers and shakers of society, that are doing phenomenal things in all of these different domains. And it's something that I really want you to internalize as individuals so that you really go out into the world and make a greater impact. And I'm going to give you quite a lame example today, and that's my own personal example. I'm still on a journey of developing out my own ecosystem. But if I can do 4 years post-CCT, some of the things I've managed to do, then hopefully this will set the trajectory for each and every single one of you in the world of AI, in the world of tech, in the world of connection, in the world of networking, with the fantastic background and launchpad that you're launching from today to really go out and do something greater. I spend a lot of time working in prison. Not a lot, but I've cut down to about a day and a half a week. I'm writing a book about my experiences in prison. Almost ready. It's called Healing from Inside, Memoirs of a Prison Doctor. I spend time working in football and crowd medicine. I have had the opportunity to go trackside. I went on the pit lane earlier this year, like Martin Brundle, and had my own little experience, smelling the rubber, listening to the revving of engines. It was phenomenal. Even the smelling of rubber bit. And and then education. I think this is my real passion. Someone was asking me earlier, what is my subspecialty, or am I a gypsy in anything? No, but I've crafted out my own interest in education. I love teaching, as you can probably tell. Taken that to social media, reached an audience of over 750,000 people with a few videos on liver function tests, which blows my mind to think that it's so popular a topic. And it's just something that's really exciting, and we've nurtured that through a brand called Medic Launch, where we not only help aspiring medics with their journey into medicine, we help medical students through our platform. We're trying to reform the structure and redesign medical education in a way that's engaging, in a way that's community driven and patient first, because I feel that the human behind the story is far more important than the actual conditions that we're memorizing. So yeah, that's a bit about me. That's the journey that I've been on. But the key thing is that each and every single one of those roles strengthens the other. It might look like a bit of a mismatch, but my time in prison made me a better teacher. My time in education made me a sharper GP, and it's that cross-pollination that's the whole argument for a portfolio career. And that's what a good portfolio career should do. So for 30 seconds, it's probably going to be less, but I want you to think about grand entrance. There he is. A round of applause for Julian Tompkinson. What an entry. Good timing to reflect on which part of your working day gives you the most energy. Genuinely. Write it down, reflect on it, have a little think, and just keep it stored in your head, because these small reflections are going to add up to you building out your own career thesis by the end of my talk today. Everyone happy? Yeah? Struggling to think? Think about which areas of your life, which areas of your, really bring out the best of you. And some of you, it might be the clinical practice. It might be talking to your patients. Genuinely, I love that. The admin side is quite draining. The home visits I actually enjoy in Winslow. It's quite cool, right? But yeah, so there's a different scope of opportunity for each and every single one of us, depending on where you work. But yeah. Now I want you to think about the opportunity map that I'm going to hand over to each and every single one of you. And this is a slightly different opportunity map to the one I received when I was a medical student. And again, it's not restricted. Don't shoot me down for putting 6 things up that you don't disagree with, but think broadly. The first is unusual environments. Medicine has taken me to prisons, it's taken me to the pitches, it's taken me to racetracks. I was actually invited to do a punk festival this Friday. Turned it down, but for some of you it might float your boat. If you're interested, let me know. I can put you in touch with the team that's organising. Anyway, boxing gigs. I've been a doctor on cricket stadiums. I've been a doctor on travel groups. I've been paid to go abroad with youth groups as the doctor of the team. I went for Umrah, alhamdulillah, with Saudi Arabia, into Saudi Arabia with a group from Cheadle, which was phenomenal. And the list goes on. Medicine exists in unusual places, even for general practitioners. Now, starting behind closed doors, prison medicine. Just put your hands up if you're desperate to get to prison as a doctor. Yeah, I didn't think so. But I'll touch upon some of the things that it has brought me and why I took it on. For me, it was really about the broadening of the scope and developing skills and strengths that are far beyond your, say, general or usual clinician. And it's quite a satisfying role. It's a highly respected role, contrary to popular belief. I think I get more respect in prison than I do get outside as a GP. And I'm managing a lot of chronic disease, mental health, substance misuse, drug dependence, alcohol dependence, safeguarding concerns, deprivation, self-neglect, suicidal thoughts, headbanging. And then that's the complexity of the prison stuff. And then there's the social challenge of managing patients that have maybe come in for the first night. I met a 21-year-old last week. Tragic story, really. He was the politest prisoner I've ever come across in my 4 years in prison. And I just looked at him and thought, you're not a prisoner. You should not be here. Turned out he was a nuclear engineer. He was driving his moped. I'm going to change the story so you can't identify him, but it's probably public information. Driving his moped, hit into a man, and the man fell over. He slammed his brakes, tried not to hit him, but sadly hit the guy. And 7 days later, this individual died of pneumonia. Now, here we have a 21-year-old nuclear engineer who's too polite to even step into my clinic room without gaining permission. He's smiling, he sits down, very composed, and very eloquent, articulate, educated individual who is a 0.1625% of being a violent offender according to the courts. And now he's sat in front of you and you're trying to manage his emotions, manage the stress, manage the circumstances, and you're putting the medicine to one side. So that, I think, is just an added dimension to everything. I've met cardiothoracic surgeons in prison, a wrongly framed cardiothoracic surgeon who's releasing his book after a post-mortem showed that the thymoma biopsy that he was actually performing on the thymus didn't go into the heart and didn't lead to the death of this individual because there was no needle on post-mortem. So he was actually wrongly imprisoned. And there's the whole, there's a lot to it. There's a lot more to it than just assuming everyone in prison is actually guilty. The judicial system has its own flaws, just like the NHS does, just like everything does in life. Just like the Argentina-Egypt game was clearly rigged. Anyway, let's move on. Will's going to take me off in a minute. So the first step to being a prison GP is speak to one, observe, maybe do the Part 1 RCGP substance misuse course, and well-supported sessional work will expose you to prison medicine. Crowd medicine, very different. Situational awareness, you need good communication skills, you need to consider the density of the crowds, access routes, extractions, ambulance response, weather. That's like the slideshow answer, but in reality, you get to sit and watch your favourite teams play football and cricket and enjoy lots of sports, and you manage maybe the occasional gastritis from a teenager that's had one too many to drink in the absence of his parents. It's quite brilliant. I think my favourite moment in crowd medicine work was, like, bearing in mind I'm there for the crowd. I know there's going to be sports medics speaking to you in a bit, but I was managing the crowd, but if there's a head injury on the pitch, then the doctor has to support the team, the sports team on the pitch. So we had last year, New Year's Day, a Stockport County footballer, my father-in-law's favourite team, may God have mercy on him. He actually, the Stockport County footballer had a head injury and I had to run on the pitch. So there I was running on the pitch with no studs on, nearly slipped, nearly fell, and helped out this chap who was 90 seconds hypoxic, unconscious, and then was one of those guys that kind of came off the pitch like that. But we held it actually straight so he didn't fall off. There's an element of situational awareness, concise communication, leadership under pressure, and you get to see things that you never thought you would. You don't need to be a CCT postgraduate GP for that. You can start today. You need to wait for med school, but yeah. Motorsport medicine, 90%, 99% relaxation, 1% perspiration. You think it's all adrenaline, but actually it's a lot of preparation. We go in, you have to know exactly where all the drugs are, where everything is. This is a picture that I took in Anglesey. I'm a doctor at Anglesey Circuit, so I get to go to Wales for a weekend, let's say. This was a 24-hour race, okay? So I pitched up with a tent on the coast of Anglesey for 24 hours, had the time of my life, getting paid for it. I've got a walkie-talkie in case something happens. For 24 hours, guess how many accidents we had? 0. But then sometimes things can go wrong. So the very next day, the next week when I was at another race, one of the cars set on fire. But thankfully the driver smelt the smoke, and there's no smoke without fire. So he opened his doors, he unbraced his belt and he jumped out. So we were managing a tumbling driver and the car was dealt with by the motor team. So a lot of working in teams, a lot of opportunities. How did I end up there? I still don't know, but I said yes to different opportunities. I turned up. I showed that I was fairly reliable when I said I would turn up, and then someone else sends you to another WhatsApp group and you end up in another WhatsApp group, and then you end up pitch side with Vincent Company, or you end up track side with some of the best motoring teams in the world. Tragic accidents do happen. So these were two lovely chaps, Sean and I think it was Owen, in Alton Park earlier this year, who had a tragic collision into each other on motorbikes, and they died immediately. And I was in the WhatsApp group with the team at Alton Park, and I know how difficult that was for everyone to manage. So I don't want to make it sound like it's all fun and games. You need the background, you need the trauma experience. You should get some sort of ATLS course as a minimum. There's also the pre-hospital emergency care course. And so dealing with marshals, you need a lot of humility in the game. There's a lot of teamwork. It's a different environment, but again, more strings to your bow. It makes you think broader, makes you a better GP. It enhances your protocols, your policies, your communication among staff. I remember working in a primary care facility in Manchester, I'm not going to say where the oxygen tank was empty before I started the shift. And very soon into my shift, I needed that tank on an extended access kind of shift. So things like that wouldn't happen if you brought in the experiences from multiple dimensions into one place. And then the list goes on. Aviation, expedition, occupational medicine. I don't want to go too much into all of these, but humanitarian medicine if you want to go abroad. Medicine in a lot of different environments. That was number one. I'm not going to go into that much detail in all of them, but let's touch upon some of the others. Medicine and education, your obvious route is universities, becoming a university examiner, which I've had the privilege of doing, university facilitators and all of that kind of good stuff. Or you could go down the private route. And my niche has been doing things in the private way, but doing it in a sustainable way that is affordable to the vast majority of people and helping as many people as possible. Starting with sincere intentions, delivering with excellence, and doing things consistently. That's kind of the motto that we have at Medic Launch. One of my social media advisors advised that I should post on social media, so I started becoming the whiteboard doctor. One of you recognized me as I came in today. She said, I've seen you on Instagram. Gosh, right? So yeah, my videos have been interesting. I think I was on holiday in Oman with the family last year, and a medical student stopped me and said, you're that doctor who does the whiteboard videos. And my daughter was like, you're famous, Baba. Right? So other than that, I've had messages from Afghanistan, medical students in Afghanistan saying, we love you, you've helped us through medical school. Pharmacists in Manchester saying the same. So it's a very different feeling. I'm sharing that in a way to inspire you all to share your own journey. Find your own niche, teach people, deliver good. Because I would never have imagined a video on liver function tests would reach an audience of 500,000 people. Because that's what happened. It's mad. Medicine as innovation. Oscar, do you want to take over the slide? Your edge isn't coding, okay? Your edge isn't coding. You don't need to be a coder. Like probably 4 of us in the room are coders, excluding me. But you're problem selectors. You're great at problem solving. You've all done a QIP, stands for Quality Improvement Project, yeah? Audit. All of these can be translated into problem selection, problem identification, and all of that is super valuable in the big blue wide world out there. Honestly, I can't tell you how incredibly valuable that is. And we undersell ourselves. And this is the biggest thing, my pet peeve with medics, and especially GPs, because you're so involved in the system by the time you're SD3, that you think this is it. It's one-dimensional. We undersell ourselves. So develop your LinkedIn platforms, pages, as much as we hate it, and sell yourselves so that you can have a greater life outside of medicine, with your patients, and you can look forward to going to work. Medicine as entrepreneurship or as enterprise, don't start with the title, start with the problem that matters. You've got private GPs, and I know we're going to have one that was meant to be speaking to us later today. There's private care, whether you're for it or against it, the jury's out. There's the opportunities in publications, in education. There are so many different opportunities that exist out there that you should really look into. Health tech, training, advisory work, but start with the problem that matters. And then we come on to leadership. Again, you don't need to wait for the title. You don't need to be leader or GP partner in order to make an impact. You don't need to be head of health education or whatever it might be. Just pick something, deliver, and document what changed. I know a case of a GP who took ownership as a locum GP in a practice and decided to fix the Google ratings of that practice. In 2 days, he transformed the Google ratings from 3.7 to 4.1, okay? By getting a 5-star rating for the 30 consultations that he was doing on both the days. Right? Pretty cool. Took ownership, increased his value, managed to get a long-term locum post at that practice thereafter. Right? Who knows? It might lead to a salaried job, it might lead to a partnership. You're thinking outside the box. Didn't wait for the title, just did it. Medicine as global public impact. That's a bit of a mouthful. And it can translate in so many ways. This could be a talk in itself. But translate the complexity without distorting it. This is something I've learned from my time in social media, from developing a podcast called Scrubs to Success with some of the leading professors of the world. We had Professor Riaz Malik, leading diabetes consultant, Professor Nick Maynard from Oxford, upper GI surgeon who spent his life dedicated to Gaza. He actually adopted an orphan from Gaza and brought her back to the UK. Legend of a man. If you listen to that episode, you'll be in tears just like I was and just like the host was. The host who delivered the podcast on behalf of the Medic Launch team took a year out of medicine to then do global health, and he's a phenomenal guy himself. But some of these stories can really have an impact on you. So translate the complexity, don't distort it, share it with the world, and see what area of impact you want to make. If anyone's interested in finding their niche, in finding their route, get in touch with me. I think I'm going to be... I made a commitment with myself that I didn't see the size of the audience, but I said, if anyone reaches out to me today and wants to have a one-to-one session, I will dedicate at least 15 minutes of my time, free of charge, to have a sit-down one-to-one with each and every single one of you. I might regret that, but we'll hopefully stand by that. If you want to go into big pharma, if you want to go into consulting, investing, you don't need to be as loud as social media. It's a lot more quieter. Advisory work is a great opportunity. So that's the map. This is where Will panics because he realizes I've got another section to the whole talk, but no, I'll keep it quick. Practical steps. The first was to identify your area of weakness, which we've done, the area you thrive on, the things you love, the things that give you an energy and a buzz. Then it's about the 6 C's. Your clinical anchor, what keeps you grounded and credible, what you return to in terms of curiosity, what you've been trusted to do. And this is where you look at your feedback. Maybe put your 14 fish appraisals through ChatGPT and say, look, tell me what kind of person I am meant to be. Where am I heading in the next 5 years? Because we don't always hear the signals in life, okay? Some of your strengths might be listening, it might be speaking, it might be communication skills. Talc exists, right? It's a great organization in communication skills, consultation skills. We've got education, get in touch with Medic Launch, private medicine. We've got a great lineup of specialists that are coming on in a bit. Connect with the people around you in the room. And then figure out where your contribution is. Work out what's sustainable, because the commercial model is important. Don't be shy. You need to make it sustainable so that you can go on those holidays with the family, you can enjoy the time off, you can do the things that you aspire to do, and everything stays protected. Your family time stays protected. Dropping off the kids at school, for me, for example, is one of the most protected things in the week. That's important to me. So that should stay protected. So all my clinics start at 9:45 or 9:30 onwards, including today's session. No, I'm joking. Then find your ikigai. What is it you enjoy? What is it you're good at? This is another way of framing the same thing. What people need and what they'll value. Speak to the people that are already doing it. The starting lineup today, as we've said, is fantastic. Like that blows me away to think all of these guys are going to be here in the next few hours. Take the opportunity to connect with each and every single one of them. Julian deserves another round of applause. He's a great mentor to me, honestly. A very special man, a very dear mentor who has helped me through the last 3-4 years of my life, and is someone I really respect. Say yes, and I think that is always important. Yes to exposure, yes to skills, yes to credibility, yes to relationships, shadow people, teach a session, give back. Be the Google rating dude, okay? That's an example to say just give back. Be the person that suggests that the bins in your clinic room could be swapped over to save costs, because the yellow bin costs more to dispose of than the average general bin, right? It's a rubbish example, quite literally, but you get the point. Take the smaller role near the bigger one. Sometimes prison medicine is not where you want to be, but it might lead to you becoming an author in an area that you want to do, and it might open doors and opportunities like this where you get to talk about your role as a prison GP, which is what Will invited me for, and he's going to shoot me for not talking about prison at all. For example, volunteer at the event, help with the project, build the evidence to not only increase your own self-confidence, but then also to show that you have a direction that you want to go. You can then fit that direction, ensure that people trust you, and carry on. My challenge to you all today is to run a 3-month experiment. And I think it's a good time, especially those that are in ST3, those that are transitioning into ST2, ST1 to 2, and ST2 to 3, or ST3 to CCT, wherever you may be, pick an area from today. Use this flagship event with its great organization, the barbecue that we're going to have afterwards, the events, the interaction, the networking. I don't think you're going to have a greater opportunity in the next 12 months, I'm sorry to say, where you're going to have a chance to really launch that journey today. So explore. Then figure out how you're going to contribute, and by month 3 you should be leaving with proof. Kind of gone into that. Now for many people, this feels like something quite far-fetched. But for some of you, you've already made that intention to make that transition. And if that's where you are, and if you feel like you have made that transition today, then we at Medic Launch are an educational ecosystem. We provide that launchpad, the infrastructure for the journey. not the destination, because sometimes the destination never comes. And you have to enjoy the journey along the way. So if you want clarity, if you're looking for opportunities, if you're looking for a community to progress, then we are here with the expanded Clinician network. I invite you all to take out your phones, to scan that QR code, because that's only going to stay on for the next 3 seconds. And that is a QR code to join our mailing list, which we're launching today, as of today, the expanded Clinician network, an opportunity for each and every single one of you. Got some very smiley faces at the back there. He's refusing to take his phone out though. To really join us, whether it's career pathway guides, whether it's developing the routes to share with the rest of the world, whatever it is, podcasts with clinicians. If you feel you need to be on the podcast, Oscar's already made that very clear to me that he wants to be on the next podcast. I'm only joking. Or selected opportunities, training routes, then the expanded Clinician network is here to support you. The second QR code is a paid event, just to put that out there, disclaimer, okay? But what is it? It's to take those that are interested in one area specifically, innovation. If you're interested in tech and you don't know where to start, you don't need to be interested in tech, but you recognize that the future is for the doctors that are combining their health with tech, then this is a chance for you to go from zero to URL. An opportunity in 4 weeks, this September, to join myself and some pretty high keynote speakers on a 4-week, every Sunday, 2-hour workshop on Zoom, where you go from problem to solution to identification and building, all the way through to sending it out into the world. What that will do is enhance your portfolio opportunities, build your CV, and it'll give you something to talk about that could open doors for you in different dimensions. If that's something of interest, then we have our MedTech Pad event. It's on Eventbrite if you want to find it. But I want to finish with this. Your CCT is not a cage. Your time in general practice is a foundation. It's a launch pad for you to do much bigger things. So get the map, take that step, and remember the words of Muhammad Ali, who said something along the lines of, take the ingredients, take the skills, use those ingredients to cook up recipes that you can spread and deliver and dispatch to every single human that you meet in a deserving way and serve across humanity. I've butchered this quote, but you get the idea. To be beneficial to people. Or in the words of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who said, the best amongst you are those who bring benefit to others. And I think that's a really worthwhile place to end, but also to begin this journey. Because if you remember how I started the talk, it was the aspiring medic who wanted to bring benefit to others. It was the aspiring medic who wanted to help patients in their most vulnerable moments, but also to have global impact at large. So thank you. My name is Dr. Sajjaad Khalil. It's been an absolute delight and an honor and a privilege to present to each and every single one of you today. I wish you all the best, and I hope that I can help you on your journey. Thank you very much.